Hey all, my name is Nate. I'm a graduate student studying applied mathematics, and I wanted to talk today about how Behringer's Deepmind synthesizer is able to create super realistic string sounds. I haven't really seen a video talking about this feature of the synth, but the way that the Deepmind is able to do this is through a synthesis method called Karplus-Strong string synthesis. So, well, what is Karplus-Strong string synthesis? Well, it's a form of physical modeling synthesis. And what is physical modeling synthesis? Well, before I answer that, let's talk about other common forms of synthesis: subtractive, additive, and FM. I'm not really going to go into wavetable because I don't know as much about wavetable. But anyways, for a brief overview, subtractive synthesis is much like sculpting. So you start off with a harmonically rich waveform like a saw or a square tooth, or I mean a sawtooth or a square. And you sculpt the wave into a sound that you want. And most hardware synths that you buy are subtractive synthesizers, and the Deepmind is one such synth. Additive synthesis and FM synthesis are quite different. In these forms of synthesis, they're related in the sense that usually with both of them, you start off with a harmonically poor waveform, like a sine wave, and you create harmonics on this wave by somehow adding them into the waveform. And so with additive synthesis, you actually like stack sine waves on top of each other. And for FM synthesis, you kind of rapidly modulate the frequency. In the case of most FM synthesis, though, you're modulating the phase of the wave. But doing this in both cases adds harmonics to the waveform, which creates like more harmonically rich sounds. On a side note, there is, much like AM and FM radio, there is AM, or amplitude modulated synthesis. That adds harmonics by rapidly modulating the amplitude of a waveform. And on another side note, if anyone is interested in the mathematics of how all of this works, leave a comment and like maybe I can make a video about it. Anyways, back on topic. Physical modeling synthesis is a form of synthesis that's quite different from these other forms of synthesis. So instead of adding or subtracting harmonics to various waveforms like in subtractive, additive, and FM, what physical modeling is trying to do is it is trying to simulate a physical sound by creating mathematical models and like using algorithms, right? The Deepmind 12 is capable of at least one physical modeling algorithm, and that's the Karplus-Strong strings algorithm. And so, well, how does this algorithm work? Well, it works by, you start off with an extremely small burst of like white noise or a noise source, and you put the white noise through a delay with a feedback on it, and the feedback of the delay goes through a filter, like usually like a low pass filter, and this creates a feedback loop where the filtered feedback is mixed in with the output of the sound and then simultaneously like fed back into the delay, and doing this creates realistic string sounds. Hypothetically, you should be able to do this algorithm on any synth that is capable of producing white noise and either has a delay effect built in or is connected to a delay effect. However, not all synths are actually capable of doing this because you need very fast delay times in order to achieve the desired result. I have 4 hardware synthesizers that I use regularly. So I have the Deepmind 12, I have the Ultranova, I have the Base Station 2, which I can connect to a Nemesis delay pedal, and I have a mini log. And of the four, the base station, the Ultranova, and the Deepmind all could do it, but the mini log could not. The mini log's delay, its built-in delay, you just cannot get fast enough delay times on it, it seems, to create like the desired effect. And then of the three, only the Deepmind had delay times that were fast enough and with small enough gradations to make a usable instrument, and we'll kind of get into like that later. Let's go over to the Deepmind and explore this method of synthesis and build like a string patch. And on a side note, if you want to use this method of synthesis musically, at least from the Deepmind, you're going to need to multi-sample the instrument into like Ableton or Contact or something, and we'll discuss the reason why as we build the patch. Okay, so here we have our Deepmind, right? And it's on a default patch. And sorry that, you know, the whole keyboard is not in shot, but it's a really long keyboard, and I don't have very sophisticated equipment right now. But anyway, we have this default patch that has a sawtooth wave and a square wave on it. First things that we're going to do to make this Karplus sound is we're going to turn these off, both of them. So we have no waveform. So there shouldn't be any sound going through when you hit the keys. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the noise level up. So we have a noise. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the VCA on the VCA envelope on the Deepmind, and we are going to turn all of the things down, the ADSR down, but for the decay, we're just going to slightly like move it up like 1 or 2 notches, like about to like maybe 30 or something. Around 30. Maybe we can get it right there. So we get something that like sounds like a hat. Just like a short burst of noise. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to FX, the FX section, and we are going to get a delay. We want it mix 100. We're going to hit effects again. The mix is 100. The time is 385 milliseconds. We're actually going to want to turn that down to about 1 millisecond for starters. For this, we'll go through all of the delays. Any of the delays work, but I actually like the ping pong delay for this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to crank the feedback all the way up on left and right. And what this should do is it should give us this like plucky sound, if you hear that. Now that's like a really high string. We can actually tune the string by increasing the delay time. So putting at 7.4 milliseconds, you can hear it sounds like more string-like. And we can like adjust the sound of this string by putting it through a filter. Now, it sounds kind of funky right now, and something that could help is if we turn the FCL factors down, which also like kind of tune the string. So we get this sound. We also need to turn this feedback up. So then if we turn down the time, we can hear the string sound coming through. And if we adjust like the delay filters, we can hear it changes. That's the feedback high cut filter. We can also like adjust the delay on the ADSR filter, on the ADSR envelope. But if we turn it up like the delay a lot, we get a funky sound that's like which could be fun. Maybe you want that sound, but so we have that going on. What else can we do? The mode is in stereo. Thought I put it on ping pong. Anyways. Yeah, so let's turn down the frequency a little bit. So as we adjust the feedback low cut, we can see it sounds more string-like. And you get this nice sounding string. I just turned the filter frequency up. Turning the filter frequency down. We can adjust the filter resonance. Anyways, yeah, you can adjust like the feedback high cut filter to get like these more percussive sounds. Adjusting the filter frequency of like your main filter that's not on the delay gives you like a more subdued sound. That sounds more like a hammered note. Anyways, I mentioned that if you actually want to use this musically, that you'll need to multi-sample it. And the reason for that is, as you can see, well, maybe you can't see my hand, but any key that I press, it plays the same note. And I kind of hinted at this already, but the way that you change the note of the string is by changing the delay time. So yeah, so you change the delay time with this ping pong delay on the Deepmind. You can also change the tuning of the string by modifying the factors and by modifying the offset as well. So just to demonstrate that, you can tune the string. So that's like the Karplus-Strong string delay. Now you can use like any delay on the Deepmind and it will do this, but the way that it does it and the sound that it can produce can be kind of different. So like we can like look at the mono delay, for example, and keeping the settings as they are, we have something that sounds like this. So we have a string and it sounds higher pitched, but the principles are all the same that I showed you on the ping pong delay. You're going to want to adjust this feedback low cut to get different strings. If you crank it all the way up, it kind of sounds noisy. But everything pretty much works the same. You can experiment. You can't really hear it on this video, but one thing that you will notice, I'll actually go to my patch where I actually This is the patch that I multi-sampled. You might be able to hear a hiss as this plays, and this one sounds like a piano, which you can do by editing the filter. But you might hear a hiss when you are doing that. That's normal. It's being caused by the noise going through the feedback of the delay. You can get rid of it in the patch itself by putting a noise gate on, and then you can like further filter it out once you multi-sample it. But it does sound kind of cool sometimes, and it gives it kind of a synthetic feel. It may be desirable, but you can get rid of it if you want to. And that's kind of how the Karplus algorithm works on the Deepmind. And to show you like the final results of, you know, the algorithm, we're gonna go back to the computer. This is my Karplus patch on the Deepmind that I multi-sampled that I was showing you earlier. This is the finished one. So let me just turn this off and turn this off for a minute. And also let me turn the filter up on the multi-sample so that you can hear what it sounds like. So this is kind of the sound of the multi-sample Deepmind instrument. So you can hear that hiss when I play the notes now that I was talking about, hopefully pretty clearly. There's like this high-pitched hiss above every note that sounds like some kind of synth. Like I said, you can filter that out, and I'm gonna turn down the filter now, and hopefully, you know, you can see that. So I'm gonna turn it down to about maybe like 1.43 kilohertz, and it sounds a lot more piano-like, and you don't have the hiss anymore, so. So very piano-like, but we all know that pianos have like a resonator cabinet usually, right? So I like to use Ableton's resonator effect with this patch sometimes. And Munich, I think, works the best for this of the presets. I haven't really tried to design one myself, but Munich works pretty good. So if we turn it on, we get something that sounds even more piano-like, I think. You can hear it there, and of course, like usually like when you're playing piano in a room, there's a reverb. So I think that the thing that really sells it is when you crank up the reverb, like you and ascend, so you have the actual sound, and then it's going through Ableton's reverb here. And I haven't done anything to the reverb. It's just the stock reverb that you get when you open up like a new session, but it sounds good, I think. So it sounds like this. And just play something, a little melody that I was like working on. So yeah, that's how you do the Karplus-Strong strings synthesis on the Deepmind. And yeah, I think the fact that you can access a whole new other kind of synthesis besides subtractive synthesis on the Deepmind makes the synthesizer a lot more valuable as like a sound design tool, as a musical instrument. So yeah, experiment with it. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was interesting. I hope you learned something. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Bye.